How you doing, everybody? Jim Gonzalez here, EDI Support LLC. It's another beautiful Wednesday. A little hot in Pennsylvania. Today's supposed to be like 94 or something like that. Yeah, we're nearing the end of August, or the last Wednesday in August, I should say. And kids are back to school. Families that work out of the house are loving the kids back to school, especially me. But anyways. I hope everybody's doing well. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to escape the EDI trap, dealing with inefficiencies, high costs, and revenue loss. Some of the things that I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about basically subjects that clients or prospects bring up to me and things of conversations that I'm having on a weekly basis, monthly basis. Some of those topics exist with, how does choosing the wrong EDI provider lead to inefficiencies, hidden costs, revenue leakage due to EDI issues? So people don't sit down and look at, the full cost of EDI when you're dealing with, a bad provider or a bad system or an old system. Some of the things that you're looking at is poor integration with existing systems. Maybe you've added a new ERP or a WMS or a TMS, and it's not really able to integrate using, API, or it's not able to handle a certain type of XML or something of that nature. Lack of customization and flexibility, limited automation capabilities, slow and unreliable data transmissions. It's a system that was built 30 years ago and you're still running on it, or 20 years ago and you're still running on it. Well, of course, it's not going to use the latest and greatest of the processing power that's available. Or it's using an old operating system because that's the only thing it works on, or an old database version. So there's a lot of things that come into place there. Lack of compliancy with standards. Standards change, standards evolve. So you're going to need systems that also evolve and also change. Scalability issues. So say your company is scaling and it's increasing its order volume. Those are true issues that these companies are coming and reaching out to us and talking about, trying to figure out, what's the best way of migrating, moving forward. What systems do we recommend? What providers do we recommend? There's not a lot of providers out there that have great customer service, have, promise things that they can actually fulfill. That's the reality. There's a lot of companies that end up going with a provider and they end up having to find an EDI consulting group because that provider has a lack in certain areas. So there's impacts of hidden costs like contract renewal, maintenance, troubleshooting, monitoring costs that are paid by you but are not provided by some EDI providers, leading to a budget strain. Inconsistent data formats. So when you're looking at data and you're looking at needing to set up canonical mapping or universal mapping or any of that, you can have deficiencies that occur. So one company reached out to us not too long ago. They are a customer of ours. The company basically was unable to figure out what their personnel and their EDI staff was doing on a daily basis. They were like, were they really filling 8 hours a day, trying to work through efficiencies, get new warehouses set up, all of those things? Typically, when a company starts to, or upper level management, I should say, starts to feel that way, they're probably a lot of times hanging out. So maybe in an 8-hour shift, they're doing 2 hours worth of work, but you're paying for 8 hours. I'm not telling people to lose their jobs or any of that kind of stuff, but if you're just hanging out, well, then go to your boss and say, hey, what other work do you have for me? What other things can we do? How can we focus on, building up our rapport with our trading partners? How can we look to fill that time that you have available. Those are simple things. As you know, being in an EDI department, start to look at things that you can take the department to another level. Because if not, they're going to reach out to us. And then what ends up happening, or they're going to look for companies like ours, I should say. Then what ends up happening is you get consulting groups like us that come in, and my team may spend, 4 hours a day, but they're not having to pay benefits. It's a higher hourly cost, but they're not paying benefits. We're trying to streamline efficiencies to make it easier, less work that we have to do for navigating errors, looking at issues, those type of things. Got another client that reached out. They have a system in place. We did a review of that system in place, and what we found is they were already using a consulting group, but that consulting group literally had no error trapping. So it looked like the system was processing without any issues every day. Well, because the system wasn't looking for errors, it wasn't doing proper validation, it wasn't looking for failed 997s, it wasn't looking for what did these 864s, 824s say when they come back, where are the notifications. Like, it literally was processing and just saying everything was successful every day. Well, I can tell you, as being in EDI for over 26 years, not every system is going to process every single day without any issues or errors. It's just reality. People are going to mess up. People are going to, if you have people entering data, they're going to enter incorrect data. They're going to do those type of things. So if your system is processing and there is absolutely no errors, I'm going to call the bluff and say, yeah, that's probably not real. So this client was like, what do you mean there's no error trapping? Well, there's no error trapping. It's not notifying you when something's missing or validating on the data and the format or whatever. So we need to put those things in place. And we've actually are putting those things in place, and we're saving the client money because my team ends up being more efficient and cheaper. It's just reality. Because our job is not to live in your system. Our job is to make your system efficient and set up notifications to make our jobs easier so that we know what's going on, and think of it almost like the system handles itself. It notifies people, it sends errors, it does all of those things. So if you think it's too good to be true, it probably is. Just being honest with you. So, those are the things that you have to look for in the inefficiencies, the hidden costs, the chargebacks, the revenue leakage, people just hanging out, not doing anything, not really living up to the amount of money that you're spending on them. Then there's best practices for optimizing your EDI systems. So, when you're looking at your optimizing EDI systems, it's crucial. You need it for streamlining operations, reducing costs, improving data accuracy, all of those things. So what you have to do is you have to take a step back. And if you can't take a step back, bring in a company or an individual that can take that step back, because they're coming in with clear view, and they need to audit the existing systems. They need to evaluate the current EDI setups and identify where there's bottlenecks or outdated processes or areas that require improvement, because you're getting a streamline of errors, chargebacks, failed 997s, you're getting 864s, you're getting all these things that, as I call it, quieting the noise. Why is all this noise happening? Let's figure it out. Is it coming from an individual? Is it coming systematically? Where is it? Is it a trading partner that's sending erroneous information? Well, okay. Is it item data? Is it ship tos? What is it? Let's get to the source, get that figured out. And then guess what? Now we're starting to quiet that noise. So you're looking at those things, you're mapping out the workflows, because here's the thing is a lot of businesses that I get involved with, or we get involved with, they know their workflows. They know their business processes inside and out. That's great and good and all, but what happens if an individual leaves a company and all of those practices are in their head? You need to get it on paper. You need to get it, and when I say paper, it can be online, it can be wherever, but you need to get it down so that it can be shareable amongst your team and shareable if you should bring an outsourced source in to help you out. So you have to map out those workflows so that everybody can see it. It's a flow of what's going on in that business process. How does your order to cash process? How does your claims process? How do those things occur? You can't have it all in your head. So map out your workflows. It's to understand the complete EDI workflow, including how data flows between your business and the trading partners, identify any redundant steps or manual interventions that can be automated. So talking with those different companies, talking with your individuals and your staff, talking with outside entities if they're a part of your business process. If you have a 3PL, talk to the 3PL and say, hey, what can we do differently? How can we make this more efficient? How can we keep the inventory up to date? How can we do those things? So one of the other things big thing is choose the right EDI solution. I say it all the time. You have to choose the right EDI solution that's right for you, not right for everybody else. And what does that mean? That means, select a scalable EDI platform. So you don't want to have EDI platforms that are based on your network if your network is already 10 years old. Well, okay. Another conversation that I had with a client reached out and said, hey, I just became the director of IT here. I came in, started looking at systems. We literally have 2 EDI systems. Don't know why, but we have 2 EDI systems, and they're on 2 different servers. And those 2 different servers are literally from 2010. Well, that's 14 years ago. And how much of your volume is going through those 2 servers for your company? What does that look like? So scalability of the EDI platform really comes into, how can you handle increased transaction volumes? How can you handle additional trading partners? How can you handle additional work or documents being processed through that server if it's physical or virtual? And what does that EDI software look like? Because, a lot of people don't understand the rule of thumb that, the 10% of your trading partners handles 90% of your business. So if you think about it, whether you're in insurance, healthcare, banking, financials, any of those type of things, you can look at your trading partners across the board, and typically you'll have certain ones that are doing a vast majority more than the other ones. It's just the nature of the beast. So do you need staff? Do you need people to help, control and look at those servers and do all of those things and manage it? And what does that overhead look like? So look at every piece and build out what the true costs are, and can you scale it? Or are you sitting on, an old physical server that it's going to cost you 10 grand, 20 grand just to get another server? Maybe it makes sense to go to the cloud. Can you move your EDI platform to the cloud? Is it allowed? Or here's the other thing, opt for a cloud-based solution. The beauty of cloud-based solutions is they offer better scalability, lower upfront costs, easier integration with other cloud-based business applications. When you think of, I need to integrate 2 different systems, and the systems happen to be in the cloud, I'm just using those as an example. One's NetSuite and one's Salesforce. Well, if you have something that also is in the cloud, you're not having to look at restrictions of, your particular firewall rules. You're not looking at restrictions of your getting into your network, all of those things. So if they're both in the cloud, it's easier because they're both being operated in a cloud solution, and a cloud solution is typically more involved in allowing access. And everybody can argue if you want on-prem or you want it in the cloud. I used to be a very big proponent of on-prem. Now, when I sit back and I look at what it takes personnel-wise or outsourced personnel, what it costs for a physical server compared to a virtual server, what's the scalability of a physical server compared to a virtual server, all of those things, to me, the cloud makes more sense. unless you have very, very restrictive data information that you don't want to share out there. And again, you can set up your own cloud. You can set up your own sphere. There's a lot of options that are out there to keep your data to you so that others don't find it and others don't see it. You're going to be looking at, automate processes. Let's reduce the manual entry. How can you do that? Implement automation to reduce the need for manual intervention, which can cause errors and slow down processing. The more people and the more hands that touch a process, the slower it's going to go. The more you have it automated, which really is what EDI is supposed to do, EDI is there to automate. EDI is there to exchange data with limiting how many people actually have to interact with that data. So you want to put those business processes in. You want to automate them. You want to utilize a workflow automation. Again, you need to know how your workflow looks. Integrate EDI with other systems, ERPs, CRMs, WMSs, TMSs, to automate the end-to-end business processes, such as order to cash or procure to pay cycles. Claims cycles also falls in there. So you got to look at, what can you do? How can you automate it? How can you make it more efficient? How can you speed it up? Because if you figure those things out, you're going to figure out the keys to being able to process more and more and more data. Because your sales team, guess what? Their job is to not only get you more accounts, but build up your existing accounts. Work with those existing buyers and get them to put more order process through. Hey, what can we do from a marketing standpoint? What can we do to work together to utilize your whole network? So you're also looking to ensure data accuracy and consistency. You want to implement data validation. You want that. You need to use validation rules to check data accuracy before it's sent or received. This helps reduce errors and ensures the data meets the required format and compliance standards. So, as I had said, there was a company that brought us on now that literally outsourced their EDI, had a company helping them with that, but that company never set in true validation of data or errors. That's an issue. Not everything's going to pass through your system successfully every single day. It's not going to happen. Standardize your data formats. Use industry standards, EDI formats, X12, EDIFACT to ensure consistency across all transactions and compatibility with your trading partners. The more times that you're using things that are homegrown or things that are along the basis of this is just unique for us, you're making it harder. You're making it harder for companies to come in and go, oh, okay, you're following the X12 rules. You're following what's optional and what's mandatory and what's needed and required and conditional and all of these things, because a lot of your systems that are EDI out there, even API, are built on select rules. They're built on not going outside of those rules. Do people do it? Yes, all day long. Do I recommend it? Not really. Because again, you can usually find something to conform to those rules. If you need additional information, look for segments and elements that you can utilize. Add to your streamlining, add to the information. Don't just, I'm just going to make it up. Because when you make it up, you're causing issues, you're causing problems that are going to wreak havoc through testing, through live scenarios, all of those things. You're also going to look to enhance your integration capabilities. You want to integrate with your ERP systems. It ensures seamless integration between your EDI system and ERP software to enable real-time data exchange and improve visibility into business operations. So I always get called into, as people say, EDI versus API. Well, again, API and EDI, to me, API falls underneath EDI. It's an actual communications. Because API, if you look at the breakdown of that and make it simple, API can be handled in REST or SOAP, and the data is going to be formatted in either a JSON or XML. So API is a communication. EDI, electronic data interchange, stands for exchanging data electronically. So API falls in there. So it's not one versus the other. They're both going to be looked at in complementing each other. So if you look at them to complement each other and look to them to not force trading partners or force your clients to use one or the other, well, guess what? You're opening up the realm and you're allowing others to come in there. And I know everybody says, well, it should only go one way or the other. Well, yeah, you can do that, but good luck, because you're going to run across somebody that can't adhere to that one way. It just happens. It happens all the time. So enhancing your integration capabilities, that's part of it. Use APIs for better connectivity. Leverage APIs to facilitate real-time communication and data exchange between EDI and other systems, enhancing overall efficiency. So APIs, the beauty of that is, again, it's a resource, it's an active menu per se to your system, and you're allowing your customer to get and garnish the information that they want. As long as you're saying that, hey, it's available, utilize the API. They can configure it, they can do all of those things, and you can set out the guidelines and put it on your website. Literally put it on your website. Now, older systems, of course, that haven't been brought up to existing times or whatever, they might not be able to do it. So they can use NCX 12 or Edifact or Tradecoms or whatever it may be. But APIs is going to be what you see more and more into the future, because API is basically a designation between two different servers. So a lot of your SaaS model or cloud-based systems have API capabilities. So again, you can't get away from it, but understand that NCX 12, at least I would think until I'm no longer here, is going to always be around. Maybe I'm proven wrong, but the way I see it as of right now, it's going to be hard to get rid of NCX 12, Edifact, Tradecoms, and all the other different flavors of file formats to just replace it with API, which is XML and JSON. It's just me. That's the way I feel. So you want to, as we had talked about, implement real-time monitoring and alerts. You want to set up those automated alerts. Configure your EDI system to send alerts for transaction failures, errors, or delays, allowing for quick intervention and resolution. So you want to be able to know right away. You want to get notifications on your phone of when something fails. You want to do those things, because guess what? Now you're being proactive instead of reactive. You want to use dashboards for monitoring if you can. If your system enables it, set up a dashboard. Implement dashboards, provide real-time visibility into EDI transactions, enabling you to monitor performance and identify issues proactively. So put those things in place, because again, no system is going to run 100% of the time, 100% efficient, all of those things. Things are going to occur. You want to enhance your security and compliance. How are you encrypting the data? Use encryption protocols to secure your data during transmission, ensuring the confidentiality and integrity of your sensitive information. This really comes into play when you're dealing with banking information, when you're dealing with claims and processing of health insurance, those type of things. So you want to stay inside of those compliant rules and regulations, because regularly updated EDI systems typically will comply with the industry regulations, HIPAA, GDPR, all of those things. So a trading partner requirements is to avoid fines and disruptions. So think of that. So you don't want chargebacks because you're non-compliant. You don't want data breaches, which are happening more and more on a regular basis, because people are paying tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. It's happening. So you want to put those strategies in place to keep yourself at best and as protected as possible. Can a hack happen? Yes. A hack can happen to anybody's system. You want to regularly review and update EDI standards. Keep with the industry standards. Regularly update EDI systems to align with the latest industry standards and best practices, ensuring compatibility with trading partners. Review your trading partner requirements. Periodically review the trading partner requirements to ensure your EDI setup meets their expectations and specifications. So you have to, again, be proactive looking at what your trading partner's sending. Don't ignore those emails that say, hey, we're adding this. Hey, we're looking to do this. And they give you a year's time to comply. If you're pushing it off and you're not worrying about it, well, guess what? Once you're not in compliance, you're going to see fines and you're going to see chargebacks. And your scorecard is going to go down. There's going to be issues. So if you see it, you see the issue, look into the issue. You see the email, hey, let's look into this. Are we at the latest AS2 compliancy that they're looking for, or the latest algorithm that they're looking to encrypt their data? Make sure you look at that stuff, because it's only going to do you good. Had to get a drink, talking a lot. So there's a lot of information that I'm sharing here. I want people to understand what's going on, when you're looking at your new systems, when you're looking at those type of things. A big thing is also providing training and support. So you got to educate your employees. You don't want to be in the dark. Even if you totally outsource it, ask them to provide you documentation so that you can understand what your system's doing, what it looks like, all of those things, and keep it up to date. Offer ongoing support. Provide ongoing support for EDI systems, including troubleshooting and technical assistance to maintain smooth operations. So whether you do it in-house, outsourced, or you have a fully managed provider, you still need to look at, what does that troubleshooting look like? What does the technical assistance look like? Is it smooth? How often are they getting back to you? What are their SLAs or their service level agreements? You got to look at that stuff. Leverage data analytics. Analytics is been around for a long time, but it's really getting brought into use, especially with AI. Analyzing EDI data. Use analytic tools to track and analyze EDI transactions, identifying trends and performance metrics and areas for improvement. Maybe your system doesn't do it, but maybe you have Microsoft BI and you can get that data into BI so that you can start analyzing it. That's okay. Use the tools that you're used to or that your company's built on. Even if it's pen to paper, again, you have to look at how much data are you receiving, how many order volumes are you getting, when's your peak parts of a month, of a year, of different months throughout the year. Is it summer versus winter? All of those things. Because those things are also going to come into play when you're looking at what you're costing and what does that look like. And it will help you optimize decision making if you're looking at the analytics, because you can leverage insights from the EDI data to make informed business decisions, optimize inventory management, and enhance customer service. If people are constantly returning goods, try to figure out why. Is there something that's breaking? Are you having to chase payments? What are you doing from those aspects? Again, we can help you strategize and think about different things. It all depends on what you're doing from a business standpoint. Regular maintenance and updates, a big thing. A lot of people forget about their EDI processing system because it's just running and it's just working. And guess what? If you're not maintaining it and you're not doing updates, that system can stop. Again, leads back to the company that reached out and said, hey, I became the IT director. I'm looking at a system that's been here for the last 20 years and people have pretty much just forgotten about it. It's stuck in a closet. It's doing its thing. Nobody complains. Well, that's great and all. But what happens to the day when it stops? So you want to schedule routine maintenance, regularly update, maintain EDI systems to fix bugs, patch security vulnerabilities, and optimize performance. Because again, you may have the latest and greatest servers, whether they're physical or virtual, but if your EDI system's not, leveraging that, well, what good's it going to do for you? So you also want to upgrade when necessary. Consider upgrading to newer EDI platforms that offer advanced features, better performance, and enhanced integration capabilities. Like I said, in the cloud is really taking over, and it's just because of cost and efficiency. You don't need a full-blown network, division to handle your full systems that are out there. You can do things from a tablet. You can do things from laptops. You can do things without having a full-blown, network farm in your office. There used to be floors of businesses that were just stacked with servers. Those days, they're getting more and more numbered because servers are not cheap. Physical servers are not cheap. Look up a server, see how much it's going to cost you. A true server, I just looked at one the other day. It was like 10 grand. And that was like entry level. So make sure you do those maintenances. Make sure you do the upgrades. Make sure you evaluate how many people, physical machines, all of those things are you using to get your job done. So I want to leave you with this is strategies for revenue recovery and building a future-proof EDI strategy. Choosing or moving to an EDI service that implements proactive monitoring and error handling at an affordable cost. Cost means everything. And not everything, I shouldn't say it that way, but cost means a lot. Time is money. People is money. Transactional volume can be money, or they could be licensed off of how many trading partners you have. Are those trading partners truly ones that you want as on EDI? Because if they're only buying from you one time a year, what's the cost breakdown on that? It's not always best to have people on EDI. Sometimes it doesn't make sense because they're so limited as to what you're utilizing them. So leveraging data analytics to identify and fix revenue leaks, preparing for future technology advancements in EDI, like I said, API, and there's going to be other ones that come across. AI eventually is going to get really mixed into EDI and API and blockchain and all of those things. Are you on a system that's from 1990? Think about it. The 90s, I had fun in the 90s. I was really young and really in shape. But anyways, the years go on and we get older and gain a few more pounds and lose some hair. And you want to upgrade your EDI system. You want to build out for your EDI system to be here for a long time, just like we do as people. So preparing for that future technology, how to integrating EDI with other business systems, making it more efficient with your CRM, making it more efficient with your tracking and your availability of your WMS and your inventory levels and all of those things. Think about it. So you have to plan for scalability as your business grows. A lot of businesses, my business is coming up on 7 years. Next month will be 7 years. I am nowhere near the same business that I was when I started this 7 years ago. So think of that. Think of that from your own company. Now, unless you want to be stagnant and you just want to stay the line, I had a company reach out to me, manufacturer looking to break into the retail space, and was curious, down and dirty, how can I say that I'm EDI capable? A lot of companies reach out to me for that. And I say to them, listen, here's options, and I can give you the options. And typically it's not working with EDI support, but I can give you the options that'll get you down and dirty, up and running, just EDI, saying you're capable. Is that the solution that you necessarily need in 3 months, 6 months, a year down the road? If your retail all of a sudden explodes, it might not be, because it might not make sense. Again, just because of what you're doing now or entering into EDI doesn't mean what you're going to stick with and what you're going to stay with. So those are the things that I had to talk to you about and wanted to share with today. I know I ran over my typical 30 minutes. 20 minutes in between there, but a lot of information was thrown your way. Again, don't hesitate to reach out if in any way I can help you out, whether it's working with EDI support, which of course I always love, or not working with EDI support. I can always provide you advice. I can provide you insight. You can check out our YouTube channel. As you can see in the nice little scrolling that we've added, you can check out our website. You can check out YouTube, LinkedIn, join our Discord. All of those things are going to be inside of the details of this event. It's in the description. Join, reach out. Again, Jim Gonzalez, sitting here in Pennsylvania, at least for the next 4 years. After that, the wife is going to figure out where we're going. So stay cool out there if you're in Pennsylvania or in these eastern states in the 90s. I, of course, enjoy talking and sharing advice and sharing information. Anyways, until next Wednesday, take care, everybody.